passionate about Cleveland sports.
He's going in, touchdown!
Browns, Indians, Cavs, the Big Ten, and more.
Cleveland is a city of champions once again!
Andy and Jarid, Cleveland and beyond.
A swing and a drive to deep right!
Here are your hosts, Andy Billman and Jarid Watson.
Hello and welcome, Andy and Jarid, Cleveland and beyond. He's Andy Billman, I'm Jarid Watson, and this podcast is a part of Waiting for Next Year. Check them out at waitingfornextyear.com. On this episode, we're going to talk about mandatory Browns minicamps. They kicked off Tuesday. A lot has happened. Shocker with the Browns. Duke Johnson still wants to be traded. Weird. Baker addresses the Duke situation. That gets kind of weird, too. And Desmond Harrison, he gone. That didn't take long. Carlos Carrasco, this is kind of scary now. Put on the IL with a blood condition. Back on the field, the Indians take on the Twins this week. As the wheels came off against Chicago, they did win the first game against the Twins. Things aren't looking so great at the moment in Game 2. We'll see how this pans out. I'm sure that we'll blurt out things as we record this episode. Lots of chatter about Trevor Bauer and Brad Hand being possibly traded. But with this Carrasco issue, can you even get rid of Bauer at this point? And we've got another update on Cavs owner Dan Gilbert and how he's doing. I think Andy and I had a feeling that it is where we thought it would be with that situation. We'll get into that later on. Let's start with the Browns.
Cleveland Browns.
The Browns minicamp started this week, Jared, and, you know, it's funny. I've been listening to different things, and, you know, the Browns have this new media presence, and it's amazing. It is just, everything gets filtered. NFL Network, ESPN, and the Browns are the team. I mean, there's no... For anybody who is oblivious to, hey, is the Browns really as big as we think they are? I will tell you from a national perspective, the Browns are every bit as big as it is because they talk on every sports news network.
Yeah.
Every. Fox, NFL, ESPN, it's about the Browns all the time, all around the clock. So, to begin... Desmond Harrison.
Get rid of that guy, too.
He's coaching Michigan, or the guy across me says the team up north. Desmond Harrison got released. I think we should start there. We're doing this podcast on Wednesday. Desmond Harrison, the strange trip, there's been a lot of commotion on whether you're reading a blog or whether you're reading on Twitter, and from either, not just fans, but from actual journalists and people who follow the NFL. The Desmond Harrison thing, it did come as a surprise to the national spotlight, as a lot of people see him as being very talented, but it sounds like, from what I'm reading and from what Ian Rappaport reported, that Harrison just had too many incidents of not showing up and not being focused enough, and Harrison gets released. The only comment I'll make, and then I'll throw it to you, Jared, that I will say, I think this is an early cut. Something must have happened, because to just say you miss a couple practices and you're cutting people... I don't know. There must be more to the story, or maybe Harrison was more the player that we saw on the field and the talent wasn't going to make up for what... I mean, again, we keep hearing how talented he is, but we all saw on live television, Harrison had a trouble time blocking anyone.
Oh, it was terrible. It lasted the first half of the season, and they finally made the move to swap him out of there. Greg Robinson and the rest of that bunch stepped up, and that offensive line held up well. Andy, I'm going to get wound up on this issue already, and you're going to say, why? Why? It's just Desmond Harrison. It's not that big of a deal. I don't think it's that big of a deal, but there are people out there that for some reason do. One is because they worry about that offensive line, which I just do not have that many worries about at the moment. And then two, have you seen some of these folks, some of them in the media even, conflating the fact that Desmond Harrison may or may not have been showing up late, may or may not have missed a flight, may or may not, whatever these issues are of not showing up, and conflating this with Odell Beckham Jr. not being at voluntary practices? Have you heard any of this any of these dumb statements? I'm already pissed off at it because, one, Odell, are we going to talk about talent? Are we going to talk about talent? Let's talk about just the benefits of being a top tier player in any national, sports league. And one of those things is you can kind of dictate a little bit more your schedule than some of those other guys that are fighting for positions on the team. That's one. So that's one reason why you're dumb if you think this is something you can compare it to. Second reason you're dumb is because, again, let's reference this back to exactly what Odell was not going to. He was not going to voluntary practices. He's at mandatory camp. So those are the two specific reasons that you're dumb if you think that you can mix these two things together. Well, Odell ain't going to practice. Why? No, shut your face. You don't know what you're talking about. Reel it in. Calm yourself down. Desmond Harrison is gone. Life will go on, and there's no need to conflate these issues. That sounded really harsh and mean to start the show, but I feel like I need to hammer these down like whack-a-mole when they pop up, Andy, because they're going to be continuous throughout the season once this stuff starts. It's just going to be that way.
I'm not even going to acknowledge that comparisons. I don't think they're comparable.
Thank you.
Honestly,
there are some out there who do.
Well, people are lost.
Oh, well, there's even more. We're going to have more of this stuff when we talk about Duke. Let me get into that one in a little bit. But go ahead. We're not jumping there yet. I'm just saying. Just wait till we get there.
I know. We'll get there.
I'm already spun up, brother.
I can tell. Well, if that's the comparison's wrong about Beckham and Harrison. Again, something that we got to realize too. All this is rumor. Something happened. We're not going to know what happened. And by the way, the Browns aren't going to announce it either. So compared to Beckham, you can't. We don't know what happened to Harrison. Something happened. And again, to what you alluded to, which is the best point. By the way, now Tribe 6-5 now. I have a feeling this game is going to be goofy and the Indians are going to win.
Wait, the Indians
Jose got a single, scored a run, and as Jose's on first, Lupolo scored. Lupolo got in a run too. This game is a goofy field.
Naquin's in that lineup, and they had Clippard or whoever pitching.
Yeah. Back to the Browns. The thing about Harrison, though, again, that I do think cutting him's too soon, unless something really behind the scenes happened, which we don't know about. So you got to rely on Dorsey and those guys to know. But the only thing I will be fair to, what I saw from Harrison was very poor. I heard all the talent stuff. I heard every evaluation.
Even after he's been cut, he was referred to as a very talented player.
And by the way, we'll all be fair and love and war. Greg Robinson was considered talented, and he got cut. And that's how the Browns picked him up.
Right. So maybe and Lord knows Harrison's going to end up with the Patriots and do well. So
sure. And by the way, that could happen. So you don't know. It doesn't mean it's the wrong move. I just think the thing here is that I will say from afar, obviously he rubbed someone the wrong way. Harrison did not play well last year. Talent, blah, blah, blah. It just didn't work out, and Harrison's released. And what that solidifies as well is that Austin Corbett is going into be in that line no matter what. Not that it was ever really debatable anyways, but Austin Corbett and Robinson are on lockdown. They're playing, and that's that.
Well, and we heard that they were high on Corbett early on before they even hit the field this season. As soon as they hit voluntaries, I think that they were talking about the improvements that they were already seeing. So
yeah. So Corbett's locked in. I think that's where it is. I wouldn't get too hung up on that. You know, Jared, I do want to allude to something I didn't put in the rundown. McCoy went to the Panthers, and I do want to get on that quickly too. The interesting thing about the McCoy story is this: playing time. He took a little less money. The Ravens offered him $2 million more, but he took a little less money to stay in the division and play for Carolina. Here's the way I chalk it up to this, because these two guys are not going to be on the Browns. Harrison's one, McCoy. McCoy, to me, is this. At least he's not playing for the Ravens. I like that he's playing for the Panthers. The Browns don't touch the Panthers this year. All love and war. He probably took, maybe the Browns offered him the same amount of money, but it's pretty obvious. The Panthers are going to start McCoy from day one, and the Browns weren't. And the Browns weren't going to give him that road to really play as much. So McCoy, to me, again, kind of, Harrison, yes, I wish I would have saw him a little bit long, but I understand. McCoy, to me, is in the same group. I would love to see him on the Browns. I made that obvious on this podcast, but I understand what McCoy did. If McCoy wanted to play more and he enjoys living in the South, well, he got his wish. He's going to play for the Panthers next year.
Well, yeah, and he gets to get his revenge against his former team, which apparently he only cares about 2 games in the season. So that's how that's coming off. Sheldon.
Well, it happens, but at least it's not the Ravens. At least it's not the
No,
Ravens.
exactly. And the Ravens, according to rumors, offered him a lot more money than
$2 million a year.
Yeah.
More, yeah.
So, and I don't know where the Browns fell in that. But
we can rumor that all day. I mean,
but
maybe
in
it's
my
6,
mind,
maybe it's 8. But who knows?
that right there, if he chose what he chose for those reasons, then he wouldn't fit on this team anyways. You're not wearing orange and brown. You don't matter.
And by the way, I kind of felt this way reading his comments. I think he did this directly to leverage to get as much money as he could from the Panthers. I really did not get.
That the entire time that he was going to the Panthers, he was just trying to get more out of them by even visiting these two teams. I totally understand that. Yes, as he should have too. As he should have.
That's his last contract. This is the last big contract he's going to get. Yeah.
Yeah. Sheldon Richardson basically spoke out and made his comments too. Said, he would have helped, but no one's losing sleep over the fact that he's not coming back up here. That's not a direct quote or anything like that, but
Sheldon Richardson's right. He's right. I mean, and I'm sure the Browns made that clear. It was going to be Richardson and Ogunjobi, and you're coming off the bench. And that's that.
Absolutely.
And that's that. So those two things, you go away. And then for the big news today, and we'll get to Duke at the end, is Odell Beckham spoke to the press. You can mince words. There's different types of quotes. He's excited. He's definitely all about championships right now as coach, which, by the way, is a good thing. Yeah. You can tell he's excited about the environment. Kyle Kelly at FNY did a nice job. WFNY, I should say. He did a nice job putting some quotes on Twitter and putting it into a piece. Cleveland.com did a nice job. You can read all those things. Here's what I would take out of this whole Beckham thing. I really would be surprised if this gets brought up too much more, and now it's all on the field for Beckham. I really didn't, which I'm not surprised, and I'm sure you feel the same way. This story did not carry anymore. I will say Duke, which we'll get to next, helped. But really the Odell Beckham stuff, when it comes to what he missed, it's already, Jared, it's only been, less than 36 hours in, and it's all that stuff's in the back. It's in the back pages. He's making great catches in practice. I don't get as excited about that as other people do, but I can tell he is and by the way, he should. He's Beckham. Your eye gloms to him when you watch him in practice, from what I'm hearing from people on the ground.
What did I tell you? None of this shit was worth worrying about.
Stupid.
None of it. It was all, and I say this, and this is not a knock, get a lot of clicks for Odell Beckham Jr. pieces. Odell Beckham Jr. stories get a lot of clicks. So whether it's nothing or not, you're getting clicks.
That's right. And by the way, in fairness and love and war, if that's your job, you got to do your job.
Yes.
And if your job's to get clicks,
you're right.
I will warn the fans out there. People need to realize when an editor is hovering above you and they cut your paycheck and they're telling you, hey, you can do all these different stories on the offensive line and Harrison, but what gets clicks is Beckham. Yeah. And guess what you're going to do?
Well, that's why I work for myself and don't make any money on a podcast. So I can say whatever the hell I want.
We don't make any money on the podcast? Shit. Damn it. Fuck. I got to go get that Uber job.
Yeah, you know what? Never mind. That's exactly it. We're going to be recording live from Uber as we're driving people home.
Exactly. But Beckham, obviously, look, my overall point, I don't know how much more you want to talk about Beckham, is I'm pretty good, and he looks good in practice.
We're not getting clicks,
settled in quickly. Yeah, exactly. Beckham settled in quickly, and that's good. And as we thought, he settled in quickly. Yeah. And honestly, he's back pages because of what's next. But what led off the week, we're doing this podcast on Wednesday, so we're giving all the Wednesday stuff. Yeah. But boy, was Tuesday a thunder punch.
Yeah.
With the Browns have done this a lot over the last 3 or 4 years. I'm like, I don't remember this happening too much. I don't remember a lot of orchestrated press conferences and mandatory mini camps, but boy, Duke Johnson had one. And we've all read the quotes by now. But the one that really grabs the headlines is, I want to be somewhere where I'm wanted. The moment I am not wanted anymore, I think it's the best thing. We find a middle ground and we do what's best for the team. I think and there's no need to keep me or force me to be here. If you don't want me here, fine. I won't be here. I made that very clear, especially after going 1-15 and 0-16. He has more thoughts. I just think it's better to get ahead of this. If I'm going to be playing with a new team, I prefer to be for mid-season just to give me a fresh start. Yeah. If I made all my demands yet, hold on, I got more. As you know, I thought it was very tough with Carlos last year. It's tough getting there, and I just don't think it's going to be. I'm big on loyalty, but I've been loyal to this organization, but at the moment, loyalty stops here. All right, before we get to Baker stuff, I'm going to give you my 2 cents. I'll throw it to you. I thought this was a very, very odd press conference. I thought this was not
Kyrie
good.
Irving-ish, but go ahead.
Yes. Not there, but one below Kyrie. But here's where Johnson did that all for business and PR reasons.
Yeah,
here's where I never understood why he did that. And you brought up before with Harrison, so I'll now bring it up with Duke Johnson. Duke Johnson is a good, steady, average pro. He makes good catches out of the backfield. He does good things. Hell, 2 years ago, he might have been considered the best player on offense for the Browns. Okay, fine. Look, times have changed. And Duke, you're not. You're probably maybe 8th, 9th, maybe even further down the rung. And truthfully, as I've said before, and I'll mention again, I do like Duke, but I don't love him. I don't think I've never been wowed by Duke Johnson. I just never have. I thought he's a good, steady pro. Jared, when you make comments like that, I almost want to tell him, like, I don't know if you're seeing the picture that everybody else is seeing. And that's where I had a problem with his statements. Like, do you understand that you could be a part of a situation where you play on third downs and once in a while you will make a big play and a big catch? But yeah, you're not playing every down. And by the way, I think that's fair.
Yeah, Perryman could have been the same way too.
Well, yeah. Well, Perryman to me is even more different because I don't think he's going to get any touches because the wide receiver core is so stacked. In Duke Johnson's case, the first 8 games, he's going to be playing quite a bit because he's the second running back in command. And as we all know in football, you're one injury away from being number 1 running back. So let's say, I mean, there's so many chances for Duke to play a lot that I don't compare. I don't think that's a fair comparison. I think Duke will play. But Duke acts like he is Darren Sproles. You're not Darren Sproles. You're Duke Johnson. You're a good average pro. And he's talking like he doesn't know that.
Andy, so there's a couple of things to break down in this, and I'm going to jump right off again with two sides that drive me nuts in the takes that I'm hearing that I don't agree with at all. One is that which we haven't gotten to this yet, but Baker's comments regarding this is potentially messing with his money. In regard to, I know it's laughable,
by the way,
right?
You get into the whole thing. Go into Baker too. Get in the whole thing. 'Cause I think it's time.
So Baker basically said that if you don't want to be here, then if you're either on the train or you're not. And there's nothing to, and so there are people that are saying, oh, well, there's Baker taking the management side of things. All right, so let me roll it. It's yes, that you're messing with it. Listen, there are people that are saying this that are prominent media members in Cleveland. All right, so writers and radio personalities alike. Andy, I need to jump back to my initial post that I think covered everything on Twitter in regard to this stuff when Duke did this, and I posted. You've seen Pulp Fiction, right? You've seen Pulp Fiction at least 1 million times, I'm guessing, a couple of times.
You're gonna laugh. I'm not.
Holy shit! Are you serious right now?
I'm not a big Pulp Fiction fan at all.
All right,
so I'm the wrong guy.
All right. Well, then, so there's a portion, and we'll just get to this portion that I posted.
I've seen it, but I'm
where
not
it's where Marcellus Wallace, I believe the character's name is, says that's pride fucking with you.
Yeah.
Don't let pride fuck with you, Duke. You are in a position where you can keep fresh legs for the most part, which isn't always easy as a back in this league. You will get the ball in prominent moments sporadically throughout the season, which is a guarantee. Trying to catch defenses off guard, mismatches, and the like. And you are. There's a part of this where the loyalty issue is being, again, more conflating. The players on that field will be loyal to you, and you should be loyal to them. Beyond that, this is a business, and it sucks, and I get it. But if you're mixing those two things and thinking that you don't have loyalty because you were possibly going to be traded, and those are levels above you. You're on the field, you're playing. You don't always have control over what's going on. You've got a contract with this team. It's a brand new Cleveland Browns team. And you know what? They didn't trade you. They didn't. They chose not to. That means a lot. That means a lot.
And they re-signed you. And Dorsey re-signed him.
And Dorsey made the signing. Let's not forget, beyond the re-signing, again, you signed the frickin' paper. Beyond that, if you think that you are going to get more money this way going somewhere else or demanding a trade or have a better time, just think of the opportunity that you're throwing down the drain to have fresh legs midway through the season. This is a worst case scenario for Duke that I'm bringing up now. If you were to be traded later on in the season with probably some fresh legs to a team that desperately needs a decent running back, then there's your opportunity to shine, to get that, and to go somewhere else. You haven't done anything to I mean, what exactly are you going to be traded for right now? Like, what are we doing?
6th round pick.
Right.
I mean, but
running
again,
backs don't matter in this league right now in the sense of value.
Well, the value's wrong. Yeah, I think that's been put too harshly. I think running backs do matter, but here's what I will say.
You're right. That was a little harsh. I think you get my point, though.
No, I do.
That you're going to be. We have decidedly possibly one of the best backfields in the league right now once Kareem Hunt comes back, if he stays out of trouble. Period. Point blank.
Period. And again, running back is a position where injuries happen. It isn't like it's a position where that's where the difference between Perriman and Duke Johnson to me are so far.
No, you're right. You're right. They are. I just felt like attitude wise. Oh, that's it. You know what? I don't want to be on this team anymore. I want out of here. What are you talking about? And you know what? And the fans too that were getting on Baker, because there's plenty of them that chant Duke in the stands. Once every 3 or 4 quarters when he makes some sort of reception and great play. For 10, 12 yards, whatever. You hear Duke. That's great. I did too. I love Duke. I always thought we needed more Duke. I did. But if you think that Baker's in the wrong on this, get the hell out of here. You're so far off base.
And I'll go to this too before I go down the Duke road. Let me just say this. If Duke Johnson really wants to prove himself, learn from Alvin Harper. The third guy for the Cowboys and wide receiver crew. If you play well and you win a Super Bowl, you will be earned with a big contract and you will get paid properly and you'll have an opportunity to play like Alvin Harper did for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, John Taylor for the Niners. You got guys like this who can have an opportunity to play well. I actually don't think Duke's talent is either one of those guys, but my point is, Duke, if you play on a good team and you play well and you get to high aspirations, you will be sought after.
You're rewarded. You're rewarded in this league.
That's my point. Like, you will get that. It set a weird tone. I thought Baker was absolutely in the right. I thought it was a very strong comment, but that is who he is, and I actually like that. And here's why I like it. Because he's trying to tell this team, we're not fucking around. We're here to win. Yeah, it's June. I don't give a fuck. I'm here to win.
Yeah.
Sorry. And again, he's right. And by the way, I know this is very harsh. Baker's scope is right. He's looking at it the right way. It's like, hey, you know what? You want to get on the train or you don't?
Yeah, and to bring up the fact that Baker's gotten already made more money, and whether it be through endorsements and all that stuff. This is not no. You can't.
Can't compare it.
You cannot.
Welcome back to Earth, whoever you are. We're Earth here. Hi, welcome. You can't compare those two things.
No.
It's a quarterback and a third-string running back. Let's be fair. If everybody's healthy and Kareem comes back, like we all expect he will, Duke's third, and it's clear. Sorry. You can't do anything about that. He would have been rewarded. It all would have worked out.
Well,
the only thing with Duke Johnson that I understand was Dorsey made that comment initially after the Kareem Hunt signing. Well, he's here, but, yet. I forget how he put it, but he basically put him on edge, and it was not good wording by Dorsey. That I understand.
Right.
But Duke needed to get around that. He could have done so many different things, and in fact, he would have been rewarded through the press and by the fans if he would have taken that approach. I've talked to my teammates. I've talked to this. I'm not thrilled, but I'm here to win, and I'm ready to get going. Okay? If you would just said something simple like that, hey, but I'm here now, and now that I'm here, I can't wait to kick ass.
But
you know
your
what?
butt hurt, and you have pride issues, and you're upset about a GM's comment. What do you care about the GM? Get on the field and play.
Well, and here's a weird thing, too, to your point, to hit it home. Duke, your comments were just as odd to me, if I'm being honest. I thought that was a very weird press conference.
What does he think he's demanding?
You didn't do it in the backdrop where everybody does that press conference thing now, where you got the Browns logos in the background. You did it out in the grass. It just felt weird. Your message wasn't delivered properly, even if you think it was. Your words were heard, your words were reported, your thoughts were reported, but your message wasn't translated. And again, I know Baker, what he said was harsh. I know it was very to the point. But guys and girls out there who are Browns fans like Jared and I are, hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is how it works.
We don't have to beg people to play anymore.
We don't. And by the way, Duke Johnson, I'm going to use the phrase, it don't matter. Okay? I mean, yeah, I hate saying it, bud, but that's the realistic situation. Again, if I walk into the room and Ron Howard walks in and George Lucas goes in, I'm like, God damn it, I'm not getting my thoughts heard. Are you fucking kidding? People would tell me to zip and get out.
Yeah.
Duke, you got to be aware of your environment. And right now it's changed. And again, I'll use those examples. There's many more. If you would have came around to this, if you would have even said in a simple tone, hey, now that I'm here, I can't wait to kick ass. But yeah, it was not an easy spring for me. But now that I'm here, I'm ready to win.
Could have put a chip on his shoulder.
It could have. And by the way, people in this town and people like Jared and I would have been very supportive.
Absolutely.
But I thought that was a weird press conference. I thought it was a strange way. And you know what? Baker, by doing that, took the onus off that. And again, I know Duke Johnson, it was reported by Tony Grossi. Grossi said he was furious after those comments by Baker. Hey, look, I mean, when you do strange press conferences, especially in today's NFL, buddy, you better be prepared for the backlash, even by your own teammates. Because Baker is hey, by the way, and I love it, the sheriff is Baker Mayfield.
I got three last things on this. Referring to Freddie Kitchens and his comments afterwards is basically, look, he's under contract and he's a professional and he'll do what he needs to do as a professional, which,
yes.
So he's still expecting Duke to do what he needs to do. We'll see how this plays out.
Have plans for Duke Johnson this year. They do.
The other thing I would suggest is for anyone who wanted to say that Baker Mayfield is screwing with Duke Johnson's money somehow with this is go ahead and Google yourself the definition of straw man. Go ahead and do that. Because you know what? You're arguing something that is not even related.
Look,
okay? Have that argument somewhere else. That's a straw man, my friends.
By the way, I want to follow up before you get to your last point. Jared's right, and I'm going to hit it home. This is like a Jason Kipnis situation for the Browns. This is Duke's last year on the Browns, probably. Okay? Unless everything catastrophic happens. And by the way, if that's the case, Duke's going to get rewarded with a wonderful contract because he's going to be the star running back on his team if Chubb and, let's say, and all those guys get hurt, okay?
Yeah.
But he's got to prove it on the field. This had nothing. The contract was signed. By the way, a lot of people debated if that was a good contract that Dorsey did.
Yep.
So Duke got rewarded. He did not get the legs cut out underneath him. In fact, some people didn't think that was a good deal. I had to mention that. Sorry.
And then the last thing is, I will say this at the very end. I still like Duke Johnson. I don't want to, and it feels like this right now. I guarantee it feels like this to him. He feels ganged up on, probably. He's not happy with what Baker said. We know that. I get it, Duke. I get it. I get where you're at emotionally right now. I'm not wearing your shoes, but I can kind of get an idea that you feel like you've painted yourself into a corner, which you're not going to admit right now, but you have. Painted yourself into a corner, and you feel like everyone on that team is against you now, especially because the captain basically said, either you're on this train or you're not. And I don't want to gang up on the guy. I hope that this works out. I hope that it becomes amicable in some way or fashion as we move forward. Lord knows right now, I don't see a path to that, but let's hope that this works itself out in some way or fashion where cooler heads prevail. Mainly Duke. I know you don't like it right now, Duke, but that just is the situation. And believe it or not, I bet even those guys still would support you 100% if you got on board and busted your ass to make an impact this season.
Look,
that's how I feel.
Right. Look, you're gonna have a rough June, Duke, but you have a wonderful July into the fall. And I will follow up on what you were just saying too. Look, I mentioned it before and I'll say it again. It's all about how you deliver your message. And Duke, when I saw how that press conference started and you were all alone in the middle of a field with no Browns backdrop behind you, Duke, it looks like you kind of went on your own, you went solo, and you did it. You got your words out, you got your thoughts out, but was your message delivered? And that's why Baker did what he did. You can have all these different thoughts and feelings, and all that's fine. But again, you would have been rewarded even more if you would have worked with the sheriff, worked with people around you, and delivered your message a little differently. He learned that the hard way.
Yeah, I've been there. I've done it. I've banged my head against a wall or two in my life. I totally get it.
Yeah,
I totally get it.
You got to learn how to deliver your message, and boy, that was a poor delivery. Again, I thought it was a very strange.
I know you said one level off of Kyrie. Yeah, he didn't sound like Kyrie.
No,
but
it didn't sound like Kyrie.
It just was a very on his own strange feel for the whole thing. That's
very rogue, very rogue, and that's why it came off weird, and that's why Baker said what he did. Again.
No thought of an end goal with that.
Again,
I don't know where's that going.
Where
is that going?
Where's your message? And I'm going to tell you this. I think Duke Johnson's going to be here all year, because the Browns will find ways to use him. Again, there are different players who have come and gone last year. Well, I didn't see Perriman's role on this team. I really didn't. I didn't see where Perriman was going to play a lot. Perriman might have played like a handful, 10%, 5%. The way Higgins and Callaway are coming on, Ratley. I mean, you're not going to come on. Ratley's barely going to get on the field, and people think Ratley's improved. So, I mean, look, you're just not going to get on the field. I mean, period. But Duke Johnson, you are going to be playing a lot. And again, it's a running back. We all know how this works. Nicks and dings happen. You could easily be playing by the years out. Before we get to the last comment about the Browns, you know what? I've been hard on this guy, so I'm going to give an Indians update as we do this podcast. Jake Bauer's laid one of the best bunts of the year. I'm telling you, the Indians are going to win this game.
Listen, it's not hard to have one of the best bunts. You mean in all of Major League Baseball, or for the Indians?
And for the Indians, that was a great bunt. I'm telling you.
Well,
obviously, we're doing this podcast live. I have no idea. The Indians are down. I bet you they're going to win this game. You can feel it. The Indians are starting to come together a little bit. It doesn't mean they're going to do anything big, but they're coming together. The other big thing I got from the other note I found interesting during this mandatory minicamp, and honestly, after that, I think it's kind of a little more buzz and jargon. I didn't really find anything else, Jared, unless you want to bring something up. There was a random kicker update. I should credit Cleveland.com because I did find this to be interesting at the very end. Our boy Greg Joseph, your friend, my friend of show. No, he's not a friend of show, but yeah.
Friend of goalposts.
Friend of goalposts. Knuckleballs. Greg Joseph, they did have a yardage contest today, and Joseph went 4 for 4. Siebert made his first and missed his next 3. This is one of the few things that I do think takes notice even in June. That is a rough start for Mr. Siebert. That is a rough start.
Isn't he I mean, that's a guy that people thought they were going to like just because he had the look and the background.
Rough start.
Missing. Making one of 4.
4. Huh? This is not too early to start nitpicking kickers, in my opinion. I'm sorry.
Can a kicker make great improvements? I mean, I've always been like when we talk about the Ravens and we're talking about, their situation with Lamar Jackson, and when I hear people talk about, if he just learns how to throw, and I always think, well, he's a quarterback, so what are we talking about?
God.
It's the same thing.
God.
Like, can a kicker just learn how to kick in a year?
I gotta be honest.
Like, can Greg Joseph? Can they make? I don't know how that works. Are there giant strides that a kicker can make in the off season?
All this cool stuff about how Beckham looks, and I know it sounds like Greedy Williams looks great already. That's fine.
Yeah.
A kicker, though, to me, has some weight in these practices early. Siebert really needs to get focused because, Jared, that is a rough start. That is a glaring difference in a first
Andy,
round.
He could be gone by the end of the week if this continues.
I just don't think it's too early to start.
Right?
I thought this was in a weird way because it's just a kicker, so it's always bottom feeder stuff. I thought that was the one thing out of reading all these tidbits that Cleveland.com did where I'm like, that is interesting.
Well, because the NFL clearly after last season and with the Browns, who possibly could have won 4 games if not for a kicker, could have been in the playoffs if not for a kicker.
Saints game.
Oh, God bless
Steelers
the
game
Saints.
opening
Yes.
year. Raiders game.
Yeah.
Missed kicks. The thing is that I will say that I've learned, and I'm sure, I don't know how you feel, even before this year, when your team is good, it's the most unthinkable thing. But there's going to come a moment when you're especially on the road. and it is a 2 or 3 point game. Let's say it's a 3-point game. Get yourself in overtime, whatever, and you're in Heinz Field. And even in a 43-yard kick, which is makeable in the pros, it's not easy on the road, Heinz Field. You need guys who can make kicks in that spot. And the Browns, it's not more, and not that we would ever fuck around anyways, but we got to win these games. And you need guys to make.
Yeah, we don't want to end up doing what the Steelers had to do at one point and going for 2 every damn time either.
Yeah. I'm interested to see this kicker situation. I thought that was an interesting tidbit at the end of the first couple days of mandatory minicamp. Everything else that I saw, if you want to get into different plays, and I know Beckham made an outstanding catch everybody was talking about on KNR I was listening to, and everybody else is interested in different things. And that's all cool, by the way, and I get it. I do get it. Honestly, Jared, I think the one thing I took away from all this, which I'm not surprised, but is confirmed, the Browns are not just the buzz in Cleveland. They are the buzz of the NFL.
Yeah.
They are it is going to be, there's different years, and usually it always seems to be the Eagles. One year it felt like that. The Cowboys obviously are in that discussion. Some years the Jets or Giants. It is by far, unless I'm really misreading all these things, it is by far going to be a Browns report every day starting in late July.
Fine by me.
Every day. Fine by me too. It is definitely coming.
Then watch 20 years of shitty football to get here and then complain because you don't want all the media attention. Get the hell out of here. Get on the train or not, or get off. Whatever you want to do. I'm on this train though. I'm riding this sucker all the way to the Super Bowl, baby. That's where I'm at.
Well, let's turn our way. All right. Let's go to the Indians. Let's go to the Indians.
Cleveland Indians.
All right, we had some sad news on Wednesday. Carlos Carrasco was announced today. He's going to the IL for the blood condition. I'm sure everybody can read it. I thought the really interesting thing outside of how scary that sounds, to obviously not just to Jared and I, I'm sure it sounds scary out there to all the women and men who listen to this, but the bigger thing I took out of the whole thing was Terry's comments. After talking to Carrasco yesterday, knowing that he was going on the injured list, not pitching, we try to be respectful to you guys, but at the same time, we have to err on the side of being respectful to Carlos and his family. And the other one was when Carlos is comfortable talking more, he will, but that's strictly when he's comfortable doing that. He had a sluggish feeling, which we had talked about a little bit, and that had been reported because he's had some heart issues in the past. He had some blood tests that led to this conclusion. Look, you can tell by those comments, and it's not surprising when you hear the word blood condition, that this is a new thing that just has been developing. He did have a heart condition. We had talked about he had been feeling sluggish to start, so we didn't realize that had anything to do with his heart and with his blood, obviously. But you can tell, Jared, this is a very worrisome time. You can tell Carlos is by these comments, and as I would be too, that he's just hoping that everything's okay.
We haven't had a shortage of scary moments in the past couple of years with the Cleveland Indians. It started with Tito and his heart issues and palpitations. That was really upsetting, at least to me, because and to most of us, I think that we're Indians fans or that are Indians fans because just because of who Tito is, and then with Leonis and his situation, which scared everyone as well, for a guy who just came over and was expected to plug right in, and then to have that happen where he almost lost his life over that. We know, Andy. Yeah, and then to jump over now and to see this about Carrasco, you can't help but get nervous. You hope that it's just low levels of something in his blood. Something as simple as, I don't know whether iron makes a difference or something that, in this situation, I couldn't tell you. I grew up around nurses, but I am not one. So don't expect me to diagnose from afar. There's so many different variables at play with something like this that, I think it's anytime you hear blood condition, at least for me, and my knowledge of how scary a blood condition can be, especially if it's not something you can really handle. All you can hope is I'm not even worried about baseball at this point with Carlos. I'm not. I don't even want to. I don't even want to have the conversation of what this does to the Indians or their pitching or any of that. I just don't. I don't care. I care about the young man who is leaving the game that he loves to go and take care of his health, and I want him to be okay. And once that's taken care of, we can have that conversation. I hope I'm not stepping on your toes with that, Andy, but that's kind of how I'm looking at it.
No, I mean, that's how we all should look at it. I mean, look, Carrasco's as it's reported by many people, he seems to be a very, very good person. And even if you had some angst against a person, you don't ever want to hear anybody having this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's very, very scary. And, I think it's well said. I won't even try to go over more because I think you're right. I think Carrasco needs to focus on himself. I will turn now to on the field. So now you have Kluber out as we're going into a rain delay now in the Twins-Indians game, which, by the way, helps the Tribe. They're using relief pitchers every other bat because Carrasco's supposed to go tonight. Kluber's out, obviously. Clevenger is supposed to be coming back. Sounds like he's pitching in AAA. And then he is pitching in AAA, I should say. Sounds like he is. But now this goes to the bigger point. The Indians had a really rough series against the White Sox. All that positivity got flushed down the toilet. Friday night was an absolute joke. That was not on Bauer. The defense was terrible. That was a bad performance.
Oh, that was probably one of the most embarrassing outings that I have seen in a very long time.
Yeah, it was bad. And you can pick anybody. Kipnis did some things. Lindor booted a ball.
It was straight up Bush League.
Greg Allen missed. It was bad. It was really, really bad. The Indians right now are really in a fog, is what I'll describe it. They are just wandering this fog and just hoping to find the sun and hoping to get out, whether they're directing, whatever it is. They are in a fog. They have found moments of light. Last night was a good example on Tuesday to start against the Twins. But Jared, as this keeps wandering around, and I tweeted this and I mean it, it's a long, long, long shot, but you have to sweep the Twins to even keep yourself a chance. Jared, I'm starting to go more and more into camp of I don't think this is going to work out this year. I just think the Indians are going up against way too much. And now that you got this latest Carrasco thing, I think it puts a real spotlight on what do you do with Bauer. Because Bauer's been talked about a lot on a lot of different things about whether you trade him or not.
I thought go ahead.
No, it's okay. Here's where I come out on this. I think trading Bauer makes a lot of sense. But now that after the Carrasco injury, I pause a lot. Because if you trade Trevor Bauer, I could argue the opposite before. I think now if you trade Trevor Bauer because of the pitching injuries, Jared, I think you're going to lose 5 to 10 more games. And I just do. I think trading Bauer because of the Carrasco injury, your starting rotation is really thin.
I've gone a 180 since starting this podcast to where I am now as I've thought about this. I think there is so much opportunity to bolster this lineup offensively by just think of what you would get for a Trevor Bauer and a Brad Hand.
I know. I've mentioned,
and I gotta be honest with you. The pitching, I don't mind throwing the young guys in there because it's 6 in one hand, half dozen in the other at this point of the season, Andy. We don't have big expectations. Why are we going to hold on to hope that they can do something, because we're holding on to Bauer? I get that this wasn't Bauer's, fault this last outing. But at the same time, he hasn't stepped up as a leader on the field that I was hoping he would. He just hasn't.
No, we made a big point of it on the last podcast.
And so
that was a really big start. And I'll say he pitched much better, but he still didn't get the win. And that's what really counts.
I think there's a lot of opportunity. That why not take a shot? Why not do that now? Take a shot by changing. The Twins, surprisingly, nobody expected this out of the Twins, right? There are guys performing. Their number 9 hitter has more home runs than our cleanup.
Well,
more RBIs. It's just that
finally came together. I've always liked Kepler. Kepler's not hitting the cover off the Bauer. Bruxton, he's always been good. He's now consistently good. He's now hitting the cover off the ball. And again, it's like what the Indians did with Edwin Encarnacion. You add a Nelson Cruz, boy, your lineup settles real quick, right? Now your lineup's got some structure because you have a good power hitter, number 4. The Indians, it's the opposite. They traded their guy. Yeah. And when you lose guys like that, the numbers with Santana have been very similar, to be fair. But because Santana's had a fantastic start to do the year. But, when you lose stability, and they did with trading Edwin, that's what happens. To pointing off of now to
and losing Brantley as well. Who
Brantley was a huge loss. I mean, it was everything. Anyways,
you're going to be playing the young guys. You might as well why not? Screw it. And I don't think that's even I don't think you're throwing in the towel either at that point. I think that you could argue that they're throwing in the towel by not getting rid of Trevor Bauer and Brad Hand to do anything with this lineup at this point.
Well, okay, so I was going to come off that point by saying this. I think that's okay. Because I do think you're at a point now where you need it. I think Bauer, again, I think you're going to lose some more games with it. I do. I think this team, if the team stays and you just trade either Bauer or Hand, you just trade one, I think you're 500, a little under 500. If you trade both, I think you're looking at 75, 70 wins. I think you're going that far, Dave. Jared, this is a very thin starting rotation now. This is how thin it is. And again, I'm okay with that, but I am realistic with saying too, like, hey, you're going to lose some games because Jared Carrasco's now, I don't think you're going to get him back. Kluber, you're not going to get him back. Clevenger, we have to see what we get. But even if you get Clevenger back and you trade Bauer, you're still a starter short. And that's if you have no more injuries, which has not been the theme all year with the Indians. So you can't even go on that theme. I think the Indians, if they trade Hand aside, I do love Hand. He's fantastic. And I'm a believer in Trevor Bauer. But if you trade Bauer, I'm telling you, you are taking a big step backwards this year.
How boring.
And by the way, they already are. This lineup's a mess. So to Jared's point, I was going to say, I think it might be time anyways. The whole thing that I think is very, very interesting that's been going on since we've been doing this podcast, they're trying to go after pennants while rebuilding. Well, here's your big problem.
Yeah.
If now with all these injuries and everything that's going around, maybe Carrasco doesn't come back. We don't know yet, right? Okay, you trade Bauer, you're starting pitching. It's still good and it's got a lot of strength, but it's now gotten a lot younger. So Jared, now the real question comes in: what do you do with Frankie? And I think you need to keep Frankie.
Yeah, no, you don't move Frankie. No.
Well,
You don't need to either. You don't need to. Listen, they've got young arms. Andy, I don't think that. I think they could still play 500 baseball, and we've talked about this. This is better for. We're talking about a team that needs to be good next year, not this year at this point.
Well, right. I'm telling you, I think Bauer. They trade Bauer. They are going to be third, fourth place in the Central.
Well, I mean, what would you want them to be second place and not?
But I didn't say that. I'm just being honest.
No, I know. I'm not even saying you. I just mean in general.
But that's what you're
second
looking
place
at.
and not making the wild card, because that's pretty much what it's going to be.
I think.
Although I do think Boston is who they are. I mean, that's
I agree.
There is a possibility of a wild card. But what do I want to be in the wild card for?
I know.
This is not a team that is built to make a run in the playoffs. It's not. They just are not.
They're not. And that's why I think Brad Hand is the guy. And I love Hand. This is so a polar opposite thing, I would say. But Jared, I'm going to say it. I would never trade a guy like Hand. You got him controllable, and you got him for 2.5 more years. Jared, I think you need to trade him quick and get a haul back, because you need a talent influx in the lineup. And I'll be honest with you, that is where the Bauer conversation comes up. I am very on the fence about trading Bauer, because if you do trade Bauer, and seeing where this has gone this year, I think you could have some very low lows if you have any more injuries. And by the way, they haven't stopped. So it's not crazy for me to say that. Jared, this has been the year of injuries. So if you trade Trevor Bauer and you, God forbid, lose a Bieber, or God forbid, Plesac gets injured, oh my gosh, it is dire all of a sudden. So I think Bauer is a very difficult conversation. The only thing that helps is, again, he's in that realm. I don't think he's coming back. And that's why I think the door for Lindor now might be a little open. Because if Lindor really doesn't want to come back and sign, and he's really talking about that and thinking about that, Jared, all these things now are really, the hopper's hopping, in my opinion. I don't think Lindor will be traded this year, but I think in the winter, if Hand leaves, if Bauer leaves, oh, Jared, I think the Lindor conversation is going to whip into full steam ahead next year. And I don't like that. I don't want that. That's why I'm hesitant on trading Bauer. And that's
let me leave it with this then, Andy. I have confidence in the Indians' the way that they just have been able to develop arms. I mean,
they are wonderful.
Even grabbing this high school kid in the first round.
By
of the
the way,
draft.
we don't. But by the way, people, this isn't. That's a great pick if they think that's a great pick. And by the way, this guy McKenzie,
97 mile an hour.
Oh my God, nasty stuff.
High school kid.
By the way, this kid McKenzie in AA was our top prospect, and he's still pitching in AA Akron. So our best pitching prospect hasn't even come up this year.
I mean, well,
so Jared's right. I mean, the pitching stuff's there, but here's where I do come out strong. You need to trade Hand or Bauer because your lineup is not good, and you need to influx some talent in there. Whether it's AAA or this year, you got to do something.
Speaking of that, there's talent in AAA right now that could be brought up.
Bobby Brantley's one.
Yes,
we heard about Daniel Johnson a lot. I know there's a lot of people who are excited about Chang, the shortstop. All that to be said, I have seen enough out of certain things, and I know I don't want to speak for you, but it's like I love Jason Kipnis. He was wonderful in the World Series of 16. He did some great things. He was one of the first guys that kind of rejuvenated the new Indians. He was the guy that kind of came in. I love him. He is not playing well. I wish him the best of luck. Okay, we're the Leonis Martin, great story. Glad to see him. He's back and healthy. Goodbye, Leonis. Need to get you on your way. I'm ready to see I'm with you. I'm ready to see new Indians. Hey, Jake Bauer hit a great bunt. Need to see more of that.
Give me something to care about for the rest of the season if I'm not going to care about the playoffs.
And that's my fog comment. And here's where I'm going to hammer. The one thing that does bother me about the Indians right now is I don't have hope. I'm not seeing it right now. I think I see some moments of glimmer. I see some moments of I'm intrigued. There's some things I'm excited about. Lindor, I don't think he's going to be here in 2 more years. Bauer, I don't think he's going to be here too much longer. Brad Hand, he's great, but he's not pitching in a year where we're going for the playoff push. Jared, where's my hope? I don't know if I got it. The only thing is I love Francona, and I love the front office, and I love what those guys do. But they aren't playing in the field. And Jared, I got to be honest, I don't know where my hope is. I just don't see it.
But that's my point. Your hope is in the kids that they need to be plugging into this lineup to see what happens. Your hope is in what they can get from Brad Hand or from a Trevor Bauer.
Yeah.
Because, again, all you have to do is look at what's in front. Like, what are we holding on to for? What are we doing? Like, why? What are we holding on to? What is the hope? What is the God-blessed hope that you think you're going to achieve with this team, with this lineup this season? I don't see it happening. Andy, I think we've talked about it at the beginning of this year, that things didn't they just feel like, I don't know. I will say that I thought that they would be able to hang on to the Central because I didn't expect the Twins to do what they've done.
And by the way, no one did. No one saw this.
No one did.
And again, it all came together. And I mentioned all the guys before.
But you knew that the Indians might not bring it this year. You knew it. There was no reason to think that they were going to be an improved team. There just wasn't.
A lot of sticks and glue. Mm-hmm. And then finally the house blew down. I mean, and again, that's where I'm not changing my tone. I don't want to trade him. But I'm telling you, the Lindor likelihood of being traded in the offseason, I think, is gaining steam right now. I think it is gaining steam because he's not bringing me hope, and he's not bringing this team hope in the future. And I hope that changes. But I'm not seeing it right now. And that's, by the way, we need to let the season play out. We need to let things go. But Jared, that is the one thing I guess I go back to with even Brad Hand. When you start trading away pieces like that, Jared, I think you're going to see a big jump off in wins. I really do. I didn't feel that way last week. I do now. I think you're going to really start seeing the Indians really go in the opposite direction. Once they make those trades, I think it's a bigger loss than what it was a week ago. And again, hopefully all is well. Carlos Carrasco, and hope everything works out. The new guy is going to be Plutko. You're going to hear that name a lot. Adam did have a good one start. He'll be pitching on Saturday against the Yankees. That's a huge start for him. And as I mentioned, it sounds like Clevenger's pitching in AAA, and he'll be up soon. And they really, my gosh, they really need him.
We should also let me bring this up. That was Bieber yesterday, right? Bieber was on the mound, right?
Pitch well.
Yeah, much better than
typical.
And we
sophomore.
knew that. We knew his struggles were there. Gave up the long ball, but it was thick air last night. There was,
but again, Bieber, Kluber, even Sabathia,
and on good pitches too.
Happen.
On good pitches that he got.
It happens. Again, this is his second year. He's learning the league. Again, that's nothing. Whatever.
Yep.
And by the way, Clevenger had those moments his second year too. So he's fine. Bieber's fine.
Hey, maybe we'll plug Salazar in at some point.
All right, let's go back to stuff. That's what I mean.
If I don't make a Salazar comment every podcast, then we can't air.
Are we done? By the way, okay, let's bring him up. Are we done with him for next year? Are we done? You brought him up.
I do every episode.
Are we bringing him up? Are we bringing him back next year?
It's become a game at this point. He's in Arizona right now. He's throwing really well right now. He's in Arizona.
Fucking great. Hopefully,
we'll plug him right in.
If you bring back Danny Salazar, hope is left. If I hear one, I don't want to read any more fucking goddamn reports about how he's doing in Arizona. I'm tired of it. Tired of Danny Salazar updates.
He's almost back. He'll be back.
Oh, shut up. He's not back. I know you're fucking with me. Don't fuck with me. I don't like talking about him. And I don't mean it in a bad way. Danny's a nice kid. I don't want to talk about him and his dumb pitching in Arizona. He hasn't pitched. Okay, all right. I like Plesac. I like him a lot. I think he's good. Yeah. And I don't want to talk about him. I don't want to talk about Salazar. Why? Oh my God, I can't. You know that. It's throwing me off. All right.
This is great.
I'll tell you what. Here's the thing that's also annoying about that. He's doing better and he's feeling better. And look at his. How many times are we going to read that about a guy without him even being in single, double, or triple A? He's pitching in Arizona. 5 million, I believe the number is. It's unbelievable. All right. Going backwards one more time. Friday night was the low again. Jared, I don't know how many more lows the Indians have. I don't know how much more they can do this. Let me ask you one question that I've been bringing up to myself. Now, we have a rain delay right now, but I do get the feeling the Indians are going to win this game. If the Indians somehow sweep the Twins, okay, and then the mighty Yankees come into Cleveland, and let's just say,
they're still dealing with a lot of injuries, by the way. I haven't even looked.
The Yankees are the Yankees right now. The Yankees remind me of one of those years where it's like, just fast forward to October.
Yeah.
And let's just roll out the dice because, folks, that team is loaded. Yeah. They are actually, they're annoying. And for all of us who remember, Urshela, who was a key contributor in 2017 for the Indians, because he played a lot at third base, he's playing wonderfully for the Yankees right now.
Of course
he's filling holes. The Yankees, and they are actually, it's unbelievable. The Yankees are really stacked. In fact, this is, if the Indians don't make the playoffs, which I hope is the opposite, you know what? Astros, Twins, Yanks, Rays, holy cow, Jared. Those 4 teams really stand out. Those 4 teams really do stand out. Back to the Tribe, if they somehow sweep the Twins, and let's say they get crazy, they take 2 out of 3 against the Yanks, do you feel about, hey, maybe Bauer should stay around? I do. I think he should stay if they do that.
I'm indifferent.
Okay.
I honestly am. I'm indifferent for a couple of different reasons, but I'm indifferent.
Okay.
And let's be real about this. They might win tonight. If they don't sweep the Twins, I don't care. Right? We're talking about a 1 game swing at that point. Like,
well, no, we talked about that off the air. Yeah, and I will even get to this point with the Indians. I gotta bring him up. We bring him up in every podcast. So I so want him to start doing better. And he had a big hit tonight. Jose, I hope whatever it is, I think the All-Star break will do Jose Ramirez good. Right. I wouldn't be surprised if he has a better second half. But Jared, it's still the same thing, and it's killing me as an Indians fan. I love Jose as a person. These small little positive things, I'm not believing as much anymore. He needs to really get hot and start roping things in and out.
Right.
I know he brought his batting average up. I know it's way down against lefties, and he's batting way up when he's a right-handed batter. The Jose,
like 270 to 170, something like that.
The Jose mystery, with all the other stuff, has been also infuriating. And not in a way that we're infuriated at the person Jose. It's just you want to win, and the Indians aren't winning. I will also say this, and I'll leave it on this for the Indians, and I'm good because we've kind of hammered it last podcast. Mm-hmm. I hate losing to the fucking White Sox. If everybody wants to know in my head, like teams I can't stand, anything with Sox, red or white. But I can't stand the White Sox. I can't stand the fucking Tigers. And honestly, I don't like the fucking Twins. The Royals I don't like, but they're not hate level. I do not like the Twins at all. They drive me fucking bonkers, and I hate the Tigers and White Sox.
I'm with you on the Tigers. The White Sox
like
don't necessarily bother me all that much, and the Twins haven't really bugged me all that much. The Tigers, I'm with you. For multiple reasons. Again, multiple reasons. One of them being where they're from.
Yeah, the White Sox have always bothered me. They've always bothered me, and I just do not like them at all. They're probably my most hated team outside the Red Sox. Wow. I hate the White Sox. I just don't. So to lose 3 out of 4 was painful. Before we get to the Cavs real fast, do you have anything else on the Tribes? That's basically where I'm at. We'll have to see what happens this week.
I hope that I have to eat my words, but I'm shut down. I'm all game for everything. Whatever they want to do, whatever moves, whatever trades, whatever guys they want to plug in, whatever guys they want to unplug. You want to dish off Kipnis because his contracts, you didn't pay him anyways. Just because he's not doing anything. I don't care. I don't care. And I'm going to roll it all the way back to the beginning of this season with Mr. Dolan. And I'm going to say, well, I should have expected this. The tone was set from the very beginning.
The tone. Again, there's no hope right now.
Whatever.
All right, I'll give my percentages. I'll let you, then we'll get to Dan Gilbert. I give the Cavs. I give the Indians 5% chance of winning the Central. Second wild card slot, they're not going to catch the Rays.
I give
30%. I say 30% for the second wild card slot. I say 30. I don't think they're going to get it.
I think they're closer to 10 or 12% on that, and I think they've got a less than 1% chance of winning the Central.
On to the Cavs.
Cleveland Cavaliers.
This has been a depressing podcast when it comes to news like this, and
if the audience heard us before we even came on, and everything else has been going on with us, they'd have even more things to be depressed about. So just be glad this is all you get.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I'll just say this quickly before we get to Gilbert. I don't want to. I know there's a lot of people breaking down where they can do the second pick in the first round and what are they going to do. Oh, look, I'm not, Jared, I don't want to get into that. Who knows?
We're not there. We don't know.
Who knows? So I don't want to break down that kind of stuff. But, the Dan Gilbert, here's the latest that came out actually today on Wednesday. This comes from Cleveland.com. Cleveland owner's Dan Gilbert recovery from a recent stroke will take time, according to Quicken Loans' Jay Farner, who released a statement earlier today, which is Wednesday. Yeah. Dan's recovery this is a quote from Jay. Dan's recovery is a process that will take time, but we're all confident that he will meet this challenge as he always does. Another quote from Farner. Dan and his family are beyond grateful for the thoughts and well wishes from so many people as they focus on Dan's recovery. You don't want to ever speculate in someone's health like that who had a stroke. I just hope Dan's doing okay. Again, I'll do it again. Dan does a lot for the city that people don't realize, I think, at times. He pours a lot of money into the Midwest, which I think is a good thing. Yes. I think it really helps out Cleveland when you help out other cities like Detroit and others.
He owns and has renovated like 100 buildings up there, too.
He's done a wonderful job with the Midwest, and he's done a lot for Cleveland. He really has. I know people sometimes don't think that, but he really has. I hope Dan's doing okay. I hope his recovery is a speedy one, and I hope everybody, keeps his mind in there because, again, taking the perspective out of, what the Cavs are and whatever else in that championship will mean so much to us. What he has done to now Rocket Mortgage Arena is he has made it to one of the best arenas around. He's invested some of his own dollars into it. And what he made to the Gun, which was a nice, good arena, he's made it to one of the jewels of the arenas and not just the Midwest, but throughout the country. Quicken Loans has gotten a lot of events because of Dan Gilbert, and he really should be applauded for that.
I used to have, I have my moments of wondering, oh man, what's Dan doing? Right? Every once in a while. But it's never been to the point where I've never been angry at him like I've been with Cleveland Browns ownership, like I've been with Cleveland Indians ownership. I've never really gotten there with him. Even with, the letter that I thought was dumb, or with him still butting heads with LeBron, or, people want to say, well, they stick up for LeBron. That's why he doesn't want to be there. Look, you know what? You're right. They don't get along, but sometimes people just don't get along. And I've never really held Dan any more than half responsible for that situation, right? I mean, I think it's, they both have a decent amount of responsibility with how that relationship was. And I think that Dan always comes from the right place. He's a Midwestern guy from, up in that state up north and has given so much. The guy sometimes gets a worse rap that he should, I think, especially including, he's gone through issues with his son. And that's a whole other conversation. I just hope that he does recover, and that he gets better as soon as he possibly can. I have to tell you that I think we both agreed that we had a feeling this was worse than things were led on to be at the onset. And I think that's what this still feels like now. You said it when you said, we don't want to dig into, the medical condition. It's not our business. You're right. It's none of our business. Beyond him being a public figure, it's not. No. But I do worry. And I also do hope that for him and his family and for everyone else, again, off the field, basketball doesn't matter right now. I hope you get better, Dan. The entire city of Cleveland and much of the Midwest is hoping the same thing. And everyone up in Detroit the same. So that's a very difficult situation, a very scary situation, and I can only imagine how the family and friends feel right now.
Yeah, and I've had a grandfather who dealt with a lot of strokes, and it's always hard when you have something like that because you don't really know initially where people are at. And obviously we don't know the severity about where
you're on the other side of the curtain.
Yeah, you just don't. The one thing I'll say to what Jared's alluding to, Dan's not perfect. No one's perfect. And Dan certainly has had his moments, and we won't go through them tonight. But I do think, to leave it on this, I think it's a moment to do it. I just say again, I think Dan does more than what people realize. I'm not saying he's perfect. I'm not saying everybody's going to love the guy. But I will say he does more than what you think.
And quietly.
Yeah. And quietly. It really does. Well said. Does it really quietly. And I respect Dan a lot. And I think Dan really represents Cleveland well. Yeah. All right, to wrap up everything that's going on, I don't have much more on the Cavs right now. Like I said, you can go on Cleveland.com, I noticed. I'm sure WFMY, too, has got great stuff going on with the draft. Take a look at that for more stuff. It's kind of still debatable about where things are going to land. And I've learned this about the NBA draft compared to the other two. Baseball, you seem to get more of a conclusion. Definitely, what the top pick is different. And top two, even with 5, you just don't know until usually 24, 48 hours before in the NBA draft, which is strange to me. You usually know the top 2 or 3, and then after that, it's just a crapshoot. Really is. A lot of trades happen in NBA compared to the other two drafts. All right, game 3 real quick. It's on Wednesday. The Raptors are up 12.
Yep.
I've actually heard some debate about this, so I'll bring it up. I am definitely not cheering for the Warriors. I've been surprised when people are like, I don't want to cheer for the Raptors. I'm like, well, true, okay, but you can't be rooting for the Warriors. Lordy. I've been kind of weirded out by people who aren't saying they're cheering for the Warriors. They're like, well, I don't want to root for the Raptors. I'm like, oh, come on. Let the Raptors win. It'd be nice.
Yeah, I don't get that. I don't get that. Yeah, like, I will root for the Warriors until the last minute of whatever. No. No. I'm even watching. Andy, this is the first basketball that I've watched all season. Big game that I've avoided it.
Big game tonight.
Huge game tonight.
Big game tonight. So we'll see what comes out there. This is surprise something that even Jared doesn't know. I actually love the World Cup, and I actually do get into the Women's World Cup. The women's soccer team is really good, and I love watching the women's soccer team play. Unlike the men, I will admit, I will not watch every one of these women's soccer games. I won't. The Men's World Cup, I'm actually really into it. I don't, in the last 20 years, I've gotten so into the World Cup. Now, the women's I won't, but I will watch every women's game. And I'm big into that. They play really good soccer, and they play at a high level, and they are really talented, and they are so good. I'm into it. I like it. Maybe it's our generation thing. I just thought that China win in '99. I've been on their bandwagon. I think they are so good that I really get into it. I don't know how you feel, but I had to say I love watching the women's soccer team play. I think it's cool.
All right, so I grew up not caring about soccer whatsoever. At Youngstown State University for a semester, I played some intramural soccer just so I could run around and kick people in the shins, right?
Yep.
That was it. I knew nothing. I had no clue what I was doing. No clue. At the same time, I started to really, it's the only soccer that I will watch is World Cup soccer.
Yeah, I love World Cup.
I won't watch anything else. I don't care about anything else.
By the way, you know what? I'm not that far different from you. I might watch the end of the EPL season, a game maybe or two.
Nope.
By the way, I don't blame you. I'll watch a little MLS. I'm watching more and more MLS. But outside of that, you're right.
Don't care. No, don't care about that either. No.
No, by the way, I don't
World
blame
Cup,
you.
that's it. I started watching in 2006 because I lived in Korea. And when I lived in Korea, that entire South Korea went nuts. They really wanted to win it. I think, did Italy win it that year in 2006? I'll have to look it back up.
2002 is when it was in South Korea, and yes, Italy did win.
Well, not in South Korea, in 06. I'm just saying that when I lived in 06, South Koreans were so fired up for it that I couldn't help but get into it.
Who did win in 02? Maybe it was Brazil. I think it was Brazil.
So
I know 06 was the Zidane, wasn't it?
I have no clue because I didn't watch before then.
I was going to say, I think it was Zinedine Zidane against France and Italy.
But
oh my God, that was a great match.
I then moved forward, and in 2010 I lived in Italy during World Cup.
Wow, that's cool.
And was moving and leaving. I was packing up my house and finishing cleaning my vehicle, as listening to the U.S. play on the radio. I loved it while I was there. Fast forward another 4 years, I was living in Las Vegas when I was with the Air Force Thunderbirds, and I was in the casino playing Keno and watching every U.S. match, and watching more than that.
What a true Ohio!
Oh yeah, I love I love my
Keno.
Oh yeah,
my God!
I left Vegas up. Let's just leave it at that. I left Vegas up, and I'm up here in Maryland too. So I don't go often, but when I do, I win a lot of money.
Jared Watson, the true Ohioan, playing Keno.
Until the day I die, I will be playing Keno.
That's unbelievable.
I will be playing Keno and drinking free rum and Cokes. I don't drink that stuff anymore, actually. Just the rum, not the Coke. But the
Coke?
Yeah, a little seltzer water, lemon, whatever, something else. I'm not drinking any other way. So my point is, I strangely enough, I have found this love for soccer. And that's where I will say that, as frustrated as we've been with the U.S. men's team over, in the past, right? In recent history, the women have really kicked ass, and I am fired up actually to start watching Women's World Cup coming up. I am genuinely excited. So now that I've dragged all of that out just to say that I was excited for it, thanks for listening to all that. But nonetheless,
but I agree with Jared. Like, it starts Friday. The women's U.S. team plays on Tuesday. They're one of the last matches on Tuesday, and I'll be into it. I'm telling you, it is. Probably part of it is too. I spent a lot of time with a couple of the female team members, Hope Solo. Spent a little bit of time in Wambach, and you just grow to like them. And I will just say from afar, yes, there's all these differences between men and women's sports. We won't get into those tonight, but I will tell you, the women's soccer team are top cut every time, and they play at an elite level. And for all these sporting events we have, Japan USA, even though USA lost one time, was a wonderful soccer match. Yeah. Alexis Morgan shot that went in that time was that pass and that shot was unbelievable. It's one of the sports moments I'll talk about. It was a great moment. Great moment. Hope Solo walking out there to go on the penalty kicks. Great moment. Those are cool things. I won't overpump it, but I think it's very exciting. I think it's very cool. And for people who need something new to watch, that differentiating from Netflix,
take your mind off the Indians.
Take your mind off the Indians. Yes, exactly. I would suggest turning it on. I think the women's soccer is great. I just do. And I think it's worth watching. I think it'll be worth your time. I guess to kind of recap, there'll be one more day. We'll do that next week. I don't know when our next podcast will be. The Indians, we'll have to see where they go from here. Again, we're still a few weeks away from, not a few weeks, 2 or 3 weeks away from the draft. I guess the conclusions from all we can say, OBJ settled in, Duke's done his presser. I always say this and then something happens, but McCoy's not coming to the Browns. The Browns should settle down a little bit, you would think. We'll see. The Indians, we went through it. We've hammered it a lot. I do think unless something just drastically changes, the rumors of those three names, Hand, Bauer, and in the offseason, I think even more Lindor are going to keep coming more and more up. And I think that's going to be really the story, which is not what the Indians want. That's going to be your story in your headlines, is when are those trades going to happen? Or if they're going to happen. That's going to be the banter, not the stuff on the field. I got one more, because I want to ask you one more thing. Knowing what we know about the Raptors right now, they're up 8. Late in the second quarter.
Uh-huh.
Who's going to win this NBA Finals?
The Warriors. Is Klay Thompson playing tonight? I didn't even look.
I don't know. I got to check too. But I'll just say this is for the first time having the vibe. I think this series is going 7. And I sadly think Jared's right. I think that's weird. But I think it's going 7 now. I think it's getting exciting. Are you still at 1% for the Indians?
1%.
Oh. Have a good week, everybody.
He's Andy Billman. I'm Jared Watson. Andy and Jared, Cleveland and beyond. Take care.
1%?
1%. Like the rich people in this country. Sorry, that's all I had.
If you listen to this podcast and you're 1%, please email us at anytime.
Yeah. Sponsor us. Sponsored by the 1%. That's
We will plug you every 3 minutes. All right, goodbye.
Go ahead and email us, Andy and Jared at gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter at CLE and beyond. Follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/Cleveland and beyond. Also, check us out on the web at andyandjared.com or clevelandandbeyond.net. The podcast is there. You can also subscribe on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and I think that if you ask Alexa, she'll even play us too. So check that out. Don't forget, we are a part of Waiting for Next Year, a tradition of hope, passion, and misery. All of us Cleveland sports fans know all of those well. Waitingfornextyear.com.